was sitting in class and we were taking a test. And I did not study for it. I was not ready for it. And for the first time in my 4th year of school, for the first time, and how old are you in the 4th grade? You're like 8, 9. In all 9 years of my life, I had never cheated before. But in the 4th grade, I didn't know what to do, and so I just looked over at the person next to me, and I copied their paper. And the person next to me saw me do it. And they wanted to tell me. And at that time, I got scared. I was so ashamed. I was like, oh, I'm the worst person. Who cheats on a test? I'm a 4th grader. I have my whole life ahead of me. This is going on my permanent record if they find out. And I felt horrible. I felt so bad. When I went into the 7th grade, I had liked someone for one of the first times in my life. And I told her, I was like, I think you're pretty. And she said, I don't think you're pretty. Oh, and I just felt so rejected. I felt so embarrassed. I felt just so alone. And I was just like, oh, I was going to marry you. You're the one who I'm going to spend my life with. I'm in the 7th grade. I know who I am. I know what I want to do with my life. I know this is where I'm headed. And so I was just like, this is the end. There's nothing past this. I'm in the 7th grade. I'm an adult. I know what's going on in the world, and this is the end. No one's experienced this before. When I got older, when I was in my early college years, now I'm in my very late college years. When I was 18 or 19, I really got into racing with my car. I would race, I would break the law all the time, and I would just go with this crew of people and race. I know most people might not know that, but I was really into racing. And I got into that, but it was illegal. It was against the law. When I got older, I had experienced the worst day of my life. After I turned 20, I watched my mom die. And that was devastating, to say the least. However, all these events that I'm talking about, none of them are unique. None of them are, I'm the only one who's ever experienced shame. I'm not the only one who's ever experienced rejection. I'm not the only one who's ever broken the law. I wonder if anyone here, when they're in their younger days, has ever done something not so friendly to the law. And I know I'm not the only one who's experienced death. I'm not the only one who's experienced loss. And I know none of those are unique to me. And so when we come to this time of the year, the last week was Resurrection Sunday. And we know that Jesus had to be crucified to resurrect. And so, for me, whenever I read about the crucifixion, for me, the most powerful part of that, of course, was him taking on our sin. But for me, I really like Mark 14, verse 36, if you could go there. And it was just a short verse, but it just shows that Jesus was human. He was entirely human, and he was entirely God at the same time. It says, Abba, Father, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. And right before that, it says that he was going a little farther. He fell to the ground and prayed that, if possible, the hour might pass from him. That was God. That was our God that we worship. That was our Jesus. Not wanting to experience the pain of being tortured. I love that because even Jesus is just like, I don't want to have to go through this pain. He willingly did it, of course. He wanted to do it. He wanted to take our sin, of course. But he didn't want to go through the pain. He's like, God, couldn't you just, I don't know, just give me some Novocaine or something, or just numb the pain for the entire process until I'm dead? He didn't want to have to go through that pain, but he knew he had to. He knew he had to do it for us. And what I would always think, whenever I hear people preaching about the crucifixion, they're like, Jesus went through the worst torture of mankind. And I was like, I don't think that was the worst physical torture in mankind, because there have been worse things that humans have done to each other. They have experimented on each other. There have been cases where I don't even want to talk about, where people have just done horrible things to each other. Over the span of like months and years, people have been tortured. And so I was like, that couldn't have been the worst form of torture on earth, but it was definitely severe. It's definitely very horrible, bad. I'm not diminishing it, but I wondered, what made it unique then? Since other people have been crucified before Jesus, he wasn't the only one to ever be crucified. That was a very common practice in Roman culture, then, to crucify people, because it was a very painful way to die, because you would be suffocated while trying to keep yourself pushed up on your own feet that were stuck in a nail. It was horrible. It was a terrible way to die. And when I think about that, it's, of course, Jesus had to go through all that. But during that time, when we say he took our sin, we forget that he took those moments from us, those moments where we felt shame, where we felt rejection, where we broke the law, where we felt the sting of death, where there have been horrible things in the world where murder happened, whether the perpetrator or the victim. All of those things in a moment, or I don't know, the Bible's not clear on this, but he did take that, all of that. We don't know if it was all in an instant, or if it was over the course of his entire crucifixion, where he was taking on all these emotions. Because we know, for those of you who have encountered death, and I think everyone here has, especially as someone close to you, it can be paralyzing for how much it hurts. And so we can just imagine when Christ was going through this crucifixion, he was going through countless generations of mothers, fathers, children dying, and he felt all of that in an instant. He felt all of the shame that we felt when we did something wrong. We felt all the rejection we felt from society, from our parents, from our brothers or sisters, from people we thought we liked, from people we thought who loved us. He felt that rejection. He felt the torture of thousands of babies, of women, of children throughout generations. He felt them all, because we know that God is outside of time. And so this crucifixion wasn't just for the people before then, it was for everyone after. So he took all of that on in a moment, and that is what is unique about that he felt all of that he understood all of the ugliness in humanity, and he took all of that willingly, on top of being tortured, in a very bad torture. And so he felt all of this guilt, all of this shame, all these things that all, when we look back on our own personal lives, all the things that we have done wrong, all the things that we felt bad about, he felt those things. He knew exactly what it was like when we watched someone die, when we did something wrong, when something happened. I don't even need to go through the list, since we all have our own backlog of hard things that we've gone through. And if you were just a normal person, of course, that would kill someone. He did die from that. That would kill anyone to take on all of that. But as we know, he didn't just die. He was resurrected. And as Pastor Irving was saying, that it would be useless if all he did was just die for our sin. Anyone can die. I could die for someone easily. But no, he didn't just die. He didn't just take on all of that sin. He surpassed it. He conquered it. He overthrew it in every way imaginable. And he made it so that all that sin is nothing to him. Death has lost its sting. It hurts us as humans. Yeah, it does hurt to encounter death. But we know death is not permanent. It's just one small step in our entire life. It is just a moment in eternity. And so, when I think about the crucifixion and the resurrection, just how great it is that our God went through all the things that I went through in my personal life, and then I think of people I know and the hardships they've gone through, that he experienced literally those moments in their life before they even experienced it themselves, and that he resurrected from that. That I think last Sunday, that Easter, like I've been saying, for other things, Easter shouldn't be unique. It should be any other day. We should always be celebrating the resurrection of Jesus. We should always be just excited and ecstatic that our Christ isn't just resurrecting, that he is resurrected, that he is alive currently, that he is reigning, that he is not just coming out of the tomb right now, that he's been out of the tomb for a long time, that he is alive, that he is living, and that he's in the lives of thousands of millions of people. something to celebrate every day. Easter shouldn't just be the one day where we're just like, oh God, thank you for being resurrected on this day. No, every day we should be like, God, thank you for being resurrected, for taking my shame, my guilt, my everything, God, because you are so great, Father. I just thank you so much for everything you've done. So Easter should not be a unique day. It should be like any other day. Every day should be Easter for us because, as we know, as Pastor Berkman was saying too, Christmas shouldn't be, his birth was great, of course, but his death was even greater. And even better than that was his resurrection. And he's alive, and he is well, and he is reigning today. And so every day should be our Easter. Easter should just be another day for us because every day we live in the life of our reigning King, Jesus Christ.